How many processes do you have? Assume you have 3 highest level core processes, and each process throughout the architecture has, say, 5 sub-processes. At level 4, we've nearly 500 processes. Go down 2 more levels, and you've broken through 10,000. And that's just the core processes, to which we'd need to add management and support processes. How many processes are there? A lot. Too many to manage all of them. The good news is that we don't have to manage them all. Indeed, we can do very well actively managing just a tiny percentage of them. Counting processes is not just idle arithmetic. The idea of investing lots of time and resources into the management of all our processes is quite rightly a major stumbling block to getting and sustaining executive support. If we're going to gain and sustain that support, we need to replace that mistaken idea with the correct concept of efficiently and forensically targeted process management. Let's have a look at that. I want to do that through what I call the process priority pyramid. And we'll build this pyramid up layer by layer to give ourselves a picture of all of our processes and to give us a concept of how we can prioritize. So let's start. So we start at the bottom of the pyramid, and this is what I call the unknown processes, of which there are many, thousands, tens of thousands, depending on how deep we go into a process hierarchy. So we know they exist, but they're not named and they're not documented, and perhaps they never will be. Increasingly, these are smaller and smaller processes, and we just have no interest in naming or documenting them. Then let's go up another layer, and now we've got some named processes here. And named in the sense that they're named in the process architecture. So we've defined a process architecture, many levels, 3 or more levels of process architecture, and these are the ones that are named. So we've started to build this view of the set of processes as a process hierarchy, and we're building knowledge about their interrelationships, and we've got a structured view from the top down of the processes of our organisation. The next level up, now we've got documented processes, and we've documented these processes perhaps as process models, but also maybe in other forms of documentation, of collecting information about them. And we've done that because we want to build our understanding. We've done it because we're running process improvement on the process. Perhaps there's some automation potential in the process. We need to do so for data privacy rules. We might just use the documentation in training, or there's some other regulatory compliance need for us to document the process. So these are the named processes that we've now gone on to document in a lot more detail. So then at the top of the pyramid, we've got the processes that we're going to actively manage. Now these are often called the high impact processes. And these are the ones we've got under active management and whose performance we need to optimize. And when I say active management, I mean active management. We have a process owner appointed, we've got process KPIs and targets, we're collecting the data, we're actively looking to assess performance, to reassess the context, both the current and future. We're really taking a lot of interest in the process because we want to make sure, as much as we can, that it's optimized for performance. So these are the high impact processes. So this gives us this hierarchy of processes in pyramid form, everything from the tens of thousands of processes that we really will not know much more about ever, perhaps. And then we'll have some of those will get named in the process architecture, and then some of those get documented in some detail for various reasons. And then at the top of the pyramid, we've got those processes that we need to put under active management, because it's very important that those processes work well. So that's the process priority pyramid. Now, how many processes are in each of those levels? Well, of course, I can't say for sure because it'll vary from organisation to organisation and it will vary over time. But just to give us a sense of the ballpark, if we start there at the bottom, then it's thousands or tens of thousands. I mean, it's a lot of processes at the bottom of the pyramid. And then named, well, when I do process architecture development work with my clients, from the top down, we would come initially to 3 levels, and across management, core and support processes for those 3 levels, we would usually end up with something between 250 and 350 named processes. So order of magnitude, maybe it's 300. It'll depend, of course, on how many highest level core processes you have, but I think it's something of that. And how many are documented? This might be even more variable, but maybe it's 100. It's that sort of number, I think, in many organizations. These are the ones which we've eventually done process models, and we've collected other sorts of information about them. We've got some documentation going on, perhaps some sort of process manual for the actual process. So various degrees of documentation, but ballpark, maybe 100 processes. And for the high impact processes, those HIPs at the top of the pyramid, 30. Maybe it's 20 or maybe it's 40 or 50. I think it's that kind of number though. They're the ones on which we're going to put the vast majority of our process management effort. And a process might move up and down between some of these levels, of course. Something that's a high impact process now, maybe the context changes and later on it's not. So it might not be a HIP anymore. Something that's named now but not documented, maybe that goes up a level because we need to do some extra work on the process. So there's some movement between these levels, and that's part of our active process management, isn't it? That we're consciously thinking about the processes and which ones we should be focusing on as we go. So let's just summarize all of that. I think, the key idea here is about focus. We can't manage hundreds or thousands of processes, not in an active, purposeful way. So we need to make decisions. And we'd like to make those decisions in a very mindful way, not just have them made for us by circumstances. We have to apply finite resources to what is effectively an infinite opportunity and problem space. So that can't be left just to some random ad hoc management decision. We actually have to have some way of prioritizing those through mindful, deliberate choices. And the context is changing, isn't it, all the time? I mean, the nature of our process is going to change as we work on it. The context in which the organisation exists, what's important, the different stakeholders, where we are in a business cycle, all of these things are going to be changing all of the time. So we need to, there's not a set and forget. We can't just decide where our processes sit in a pyramid like that and then say, okay, that's done. We don't need to do that again. No, we need to be reviewing that on a regular basis. That's the whole point of active process management. It's to be active. But once we're doing that, once we've got the pyramid as yet another artifact of active process management, then it gives us another way to be sure that we're actually delivering value. And we're now doing really good, really sustained and effective process-based management. Thanks for joining me for this Process Insight. These videos are seeking to provide you with practical ideas about how process-based management can be a powerful and effective management tool. You might be interested to read my Business Rules Journal column on this process prioritization topic. The link to the Business Rules community website is in the notes below. What other topics would you like me to cover? Let me know that in the comments as well. Lots more information about me and the work I do with clients around the world at my website. That information and contact links are also below. Thanks for sharing this time with me. If you'd like to continue the conversation, I'd love to hear from you.